You may continue your examination, Counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes.
Okay, so your body worn is paused at 10:07, and your left hand is in the screen there. At this time, it does not have a glove, right?
Correct.
All right, I'd like to jump forward to 10:45 and hit play.
It loops around. It's going to go down to the staircase. It goes out, back outside, back down to them.
Hitting pause at 10:57. So that's you pushing the door open with your left hand to the kitchen, right?
Correct.
I'd like to jump forward to 12:26. Actually, 12:22. So this is you and the other officers about to clear the third floor, right?
Yes.
And is that, which officer is that who's in the lead there with his left foot on the step?
It's Officer Podkowski.
All right, so that's Officer Podkowski, and you can see that he doesn't have gloves on, right?
Correct.
If you go right, I'll hold left, and then they'll take that back.
All right, you guys hold straight, okay? Come on, you swing. Gotcha.
Hitting pause at 12:34, and the officer that was immediately in front of you as you enter the bathroom, which officer was that?
Officer Sweeney.
And this is you pushing the door open, right?
Yes.
Hitting pause at 12:38. So this is pushing the door open with your left hand and pulling the shower curtain with your left hand back, right?
Yes.
I'd like to go to 13:15. Now, this is inside of the closet that's off of Ms. Harwick's bedroom, right?
Yes.
Hitting pause there at 13:21. So that was one of the officers touching the drawer in her closet with an ungloved hand.
I believe so, yes.
Now, you go out to the balcony. I'm going to jump. Actually, I'll just hit play here.
It's clear here. You see it?
Okay, hitting pause. So you go out to the balcony. This is the first time that you go out to the balcony at about 1:37 and 50 seconds, right?
Yes.
Going to 14:30. This is you going out to the balcony a second time, right?
Yes.
Hitting play.
See this is.
Oh, dude. So. It's a code 4 for now, sir.
Okay, so at hitting pause at 14:50, you announced to Sergeant Deneen to code 4, sir, right?
Yes.
Code 4 means that it's clear.
Correct.
Once you announced, and so that would be at 1:39 and 11 seconds, right?
Yes.
And after you announce code 4, you continue looking around the rooms of the house, right?
Yes.
Jumping forward to 16:20, actually 16:18. So this is you going out to the balcony a third time, right?
Yes.
Now, once the house is clear, you go back downstairs to the patio, right?
Yes.
And then you realize that you should probably get Miss Harwick's ID, so you go back upstairs to look for her identification, right?
Yes.
And at that point, other officers had opened the front door, right?
Yes.
So going to 23, timestamp 23:40. Hitting play at 23:38. Okay, so hitting pause at 23:47. This is you looking for her identification, right?
Yes.
Hitting play. All right, hitting pause at 24:02. So you're looking for her identification with an ungloved hand at that time, right?
Yes.
Going to timestamp 30:10. .30:06.
He said he was going to door knock some of these. Okay. Yeah, just in case. We need another unit to put it out there. So we're going to go upstairs and check around a little bit.
Hitting pause. So at timestamp 30:21 and the hour of 1:54 a.m., you and Officer Amie go back upstairs to look around some more.
Yes.
Going to 31:02.
Yeah, I can tell you. It's sticky. Beads. This is urine.
Hitting pause at 31:06. Now, did you hear that the sound of something like hard hitting the floor?
You mean from this video?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
I'll go back. So going to 30:58.
This is urine. Yeah, I can tell you. It's sticky. Beads. This is urine.
All right. So did you hear that time?
I did, yes.
Vegas to hitting the floor. Vegas to hitting the floor foundation.
I can rephrase.
All right. So,
Did you hear a sound in the background of that video?
Yes.
Okay. Was that the sound of one of those beads hitting another surface?
Possibly.
And foundation.
well, he said possibly. He didn't conclusively state that it was.
Now
You did hear the sound.
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, it'll stand.
and you saw what you previously described as beads, I believe, right?
Yes, sir.
And based on what you saw the beads to be made out of, they could have made that sound if you or Officer Amie had like kicked right into the molding or something like that.
Calling for speculation.
Sustain. Rephrase your question.
I think I don't need to.
Okay.
Now, in that exchange that we just listened to between you and Officer Amie, you said that the substance you saw on the ground was urine, right?
Yes.
And Officer Amie isn't sure, right?
He doesn't appear to be sure.
Going to 31:20.
Yeah. Pretty sure.
Actually, I'd like to just go back a little to 31:09.
Shower. What? Yeah. Pretty sure.
Hitting pause at 31:30. So that is Officer Amie moving something on the ground. It looks like a jacket.
Yes.
He first moves it with his foot, right?
Yes.
And then he picks it up with his left hand and kind of examines it and then puts it down in a way that it was not before.
Yes.
Going to timestamp minute 37. Hitting pause at 37:02. Or sorry, hitting play at 37:02.
See there. You'll be able to get a higher.
Oh, sorry, I had a mistake on that time. Going to minute 32. Hitting play at 32.
Oh, hold on. So you I flipped it over.
So you see the phone on her bed, right?
Yes.
And you put a glove on, right?
Yes.
And your partner, Officer Edney, tells you he'd already touched it and flipped it over, right?
Yes.
You look at the phone and you see that there are notifications from Google Nest, right?
Correct.
Now, a push notification is a type of notification that goes onto the screen of a locked phone.
Court is still in session in the Hollywood obsession murder trial.
All right, after a short break, we're going to get you back into the courtroom. Keep it here on Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
Tonight, on closing arguments, convicted double murderer Alec Murdaugh due back in court tomorrow for his alleged financial crimes. We'll preview what to expect and the potential impact on his upcoming trial. And the California man faces life in prison if convicted of killing his ex-girlfriend, famed sex therapist Dr. Amie Harwick. We'll show you today's biggest moments as we look ahead to what's next.
Closing arguments with Vinnie Politan tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. Michael Ayala here with Judge Ashley Wilcott. Testimony is underway in the Hollywood obsession murder trial going on in Los Angeles.
Right now, the state is playing police body cam video from Officer Daniel Feisig with the Los Angeles Police Department. Let's get you right back inside that courtroom.
That's right. Yes. And to your knowledge, Google Nest is a home security system.
Yes.
So an app can send you those push notifications even if your phone is in the locked setting, right?
Yes.
Foundation.
Are you surmising that, sir? Are you speculating? Is that, do you know for a fact?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Okay, then I will sustain the objection. To the best of your knowledge, but you can't say conclusively for sure.
Correct, sir.
All right.
Do you have a cell phone?
I do.
Do you get push notifications from apps?
Relevance.
Well, he's trying to lay a foundation, I take it.
Perhaps.
Perhaps. Well, let's strike the word perhaps. Go ahead.
This is a basic. Are you familiar with what a push notification is?
Yes.
Okay.
So, now, push notifications will appear in a scrolling fashion. So if many are coming in, you only see the most recent ones.
My objection was referring to Nest app, not all apps, just the focus is on the Nest app.
Okay.
Well, this is just how push notifications work on the phone.
Okay. Go ahead.
Do you know? Can you answer?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Push notifications will appear in a scrolling fashion. So if there are multiple over time, you'll only see the most recent ones.
Most of the time, yes.
Most of the time. Are there other occasions where that does not happen?
Under customization, I would imagine you could change the status of how the push notifications appear.
I don't know any of that, so I don't know. All right.
I'll move on.
All right.
Going to timestamp 32:42. Hitting play. So, hitting pause at 32:47. This is you going out to the balcony a fourth time.
Yes.
Hitting play.
can't run. Things looked weird at first. That's fully loaded. Like another black bead. These beads are from that was inside. From the OD.
Hitting pause at 33:11. This is Officer Edney grabbing the railing with an ungloved right hand. Right?
Yes.
Going to timestamp 34:10. 34:07 actually.
Probably. If you call that this yeah. Yeah, it just felt weird, you know? Like I said, I would question it, dude. If you want to cash, yeah.
Hitting pause at 34:34. So that's Officer Edney looking through her purse with one gloved hand and one ungloved hand. All right?
Yes.
Going to 38:28. 38:27 to be exact.
Do we clear all this? Yeah, we do.
Hitting pause at 38:35. That's Officer Edney opening up a cabinet door with an ungloved right hand, right?
Yes.
Going to 39:05. 39:01 actually.
Okay. Are you kidding me with this stupid thing?
Hey, what's hitting pause at 39:12? That's Officer Edney saying, I just kicked a bead. Right?
Yes.
Going to minute 43.
If you want, go check it out upstairs.
Actually, it's a little too far forward. 42:50. So that's looking at the still image at 42:50. That's Officer Robles, right?
Yes.
So at about that would be roughly speaking, around 2 a.m. Officer Garcia and Robles arrive, right?
Correct.
Hitting play at 42:50.
I don't know if she's gonna can there or what. There should be somewhere. Yeah. He's just if you want, go check it out upstairs.
Hitting pause at 43:05. And so after they arrived, Officer Garcia and Robles went upstairs to check out the house, right?
I don't recall if they did or not.
Now, Officer Sweeney was supposed to accompany the paramedics in the ambulance to Cedars-Sinai, right?
Either him or his partner were supposed to.
But both of them forgot, right?
I don't believe so. I believe Officer Podkowski did go with the ambulance.
All right, going to timestamp 50.
For this year? And hey, I've already stepped on like 3 times by accident. Someone told me there's a
hitting pause at 50:07. This is you and Officer Edney discussing that you've already stepped on beads like 3 times already.
Yes.
So, prior to detectives from the Homicide Bureau arriving, you and Officer Edney walked around the house multiple times, right?
Yes.
Same for Officer Sweeney and Podkowski.
Yes.
Same for Officers Garcia and Robles, right?
I don't recall if they walked through the whole house.
Same for Officers Rendon and Grossman.
Vegas the same at
That they walked through the house? You're talking about a walkthrough?
Yes.
I don't recall if they walked through the house.
Officer Delavon?
Yes.
He or she actually, I don't know.
He walked through the house, yes.
And Sergeant Deneen also walked through the house, right?
I don't recall Sergeant Deneen walking through the house.
And these, going through the house and searching the house.
All right, we are going to continue with the testimony of Daniel Feisig when we come back. Continue to see more of that video as well in the Hollywood obsession murder trial.
And after a short break, we'll get you back inside that courtroom. Stay tuned.
Tonight, on closing arguments, convicted double murderer Alec Murdaugh due back in court tomorrow for his alleged financial crimes. We'll preview what to expect and the potential impact on his upcoming trial. And the California man faces life in prison if convicted of killing his ex-girlfriend, famed sex therapist Dr. Amie Harwick. We'll show you today's biggest moments as we look ahead to what's next.
Closing arguments with Vinnie Politan tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
I'm Janley Painter in Akron, Ohio for the mother-stabbed murder trial. This is Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us here on Court TV Live. I'm Judge Ashley Wilcott.
And I'm Michael Ayala. We are continuing our coverage of the Hollywood obsession murder trial. Gareth Pursehouse is accused of killing his former girlfriend, Amie Harwick, who was a well-known marriage and sex therapist. Now, before we go back to court, I do want to bring in criminal defense attorney and host of the Defense Diaries podcast, Bob Motta. Bob, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us here on the show. And I guess at the end of the day, some of the takeaways from the testimony we're hearing and the video that this jury is getting to see again is that the officers clearly got the impression that there was a struggle. There were the beads on the floor, a couple of other things in there, led them to believe, in terms of what they saw, in addition to what they heard from Michael Herman outside, that there was in fact a struggle in that house.
Yeah, no question. And they're kind of having to piece it together like that. You know, I mean, obviously the roommate in his testimony was huge in establishing in terms of what he heard. So that is absolutely critical. The other thing that the state's kind of doing here is they're kind of fronting some of the issues that they probably anticipate the defense would try to bring up in terms of, you know, things that were maybe moved that shouldn't have been moved, things that were touched, such as the phone that probably should have been touched. I like the fact that they're doing that because it kind of takes that steam out of the defense coming in and trying to, you know, play the old the investigators botched the crime scene card. So, yeah, but I mean, the testimony is effective. It's not exciting per se, but it's effective and it's necessary.
And I think in addition to being effective and necessary, it does give the jurors an idea of what it actually looked like. I think if you can put them in the place where it happened to really see the balcony, the room, all of those things, I just think it helps them in their deliberation decide what their decision is going to be. Let's ask this though, because these police, I understand, police respond to many, many scenes. They see terrible things, but they just sound like such seasoned police officers. And to me, that means not really compassionate, empathetic. It's more, this is what I'm seeing and this is where we're going. And meanwhile, you have somebody on the concrete 3 floors down. Does a jury pay attention to that, Bob?
I don't think so. I think when it comes to police that there's a general understanding by the public that they see some of the worst things that you could possibly see in society, you know, on a pretty frequent basis. So to a certain extent, you know, as a human being, they have to put up some kind of barrier mentally in order to kind of deal with that and be able to function like the rest of us do. Because, I mean, when you're exposed to the horrors of the world, and we see it every day, don't we, in terms of what's going on in this crazy world we live in, I mean, there's got to be some protection mentally that the officers are able to kind of put up. And I think that the jury probably can sense that, and I don't think that they're going to hold it against them in terms of what they think that this guy may have done.
Yeah, you know what's interesting too, earlier on in the testimony, when they first came across the body, because initially when they come, there's a fence or a gate that you can't get through, and you need to get through to see the body. They have to get over that and see the body. And when he does, you kind of say, oh, geez. You know, he sees it, he says, oh, geez. You know, like he is reacting to it. But their choice is to go clear the house to make sure that any attacker who might be up there is gone so no one else is in danger. All right, stand by, Bob. I do want to take folks back into the courtroom now for the continued testimony of LAPD Officer Daniel Feisig.
Yes.
Now, from the very moment you arrived, you thought the situation was kind of off, right?
Yes.
You didn't believe Mr. Herman's story?
I believed his story.
Didn't you think he was a suspect?
I wasn't aware of who was a suspect or who was a victim.
Well, at minimum, you thought there possibly could be foul play, right?
Correct.
So now, when there is a potential crime scene, it's important to hold that crime scene, right?
Yes.
And that means that the officer holds the scene to make sure that no one enters or exits.
Yes.
If people do enter or exit a crime scene, they can accidentally taint evidence.
Possibly.
Part of holding a crime scene can be creating a crime scene log, right?
Yes.
And that's a document that lists who entered the crime scene and when they entered, right?
Yes.
And there's an LAPD form for a crime scene log. And that form includes options to delineate whether it's an exterior or interior crime scene log, right?
Yes.
Now, in this case, Officer Grossman was the officer who originated the crime scene log, right?
I don't recall.
To refresh your recollection to look at the crime scene log?
Yes.
So if you could look at page 1 right there, and that's for that, and then page 2 exterior.
Got it.
Percy.
Got it.
So did that refresh your recollection, sir?
It did.
So for the interior crime scene log, Officer Grossman originated it.
Yes.
And for the exterior crime scene log, Officer Garcia originated it.
Yes.
And when I showed you these crime scene logs, did you know what they were?
Yes.
I'd like to mark them as defense.
Then we'll Q.
QQ. And I'll just, for the sake of efficiency, I'll just make all of the pages one exhibit.
All right.
And so this is a four-page exhibit showing it to the people.
Okay. Just to get a sense.
I'm not going to admit it, but I'm going to ask you questions.
Are you going to mark it? Or you want you're throwing?
I think it should be marked at this point.
Well, why don't you just mark it? It's up to you if you admit it at the end. You seek to admit it. We haven't reached that point yet.
Okay.
All right. Just out of time-wise, how much longer do you have with this witness?
Not very long.
Okay. Just.
Well, it'll definitely be done by lunch.
All right.
So this is QQ, right?
Yes. Double Q.
So you did recognize this crime scene log, right?
Yes.
And let's talk about the interior crime scene log. So the earliest time that is marked for any employee of law enforcement arriving is 5 in the morning, right?
Believe so.
All right. All of the officers that we were just discussing, including yourself, do not appear on this interior crime scene log prior to 5 a.m., right?
I don't have one in front of me.
Would it help to look at it?
Yes.
Look up when you're done, please.
Just for the interior, correct?
Correct.
That's correct, yes, sir.
So prior to 5 a.m., all of the foot traffic in and out of the house, which did also include staff from the fire department, none of that is reflected in the interior crime scene log. Is that true?
Just a compound.
Oh. I don't know. Is it yes to everything?
I'm sorry, sir?
Is it yes to the questions that you posed?
Neither of those, the officers nor the fire department was listed on.
All right.
After you cleared the house, Well, actually, multiple times throughout the night, you and your partner spoke with Michael Herman, right?
Yes.
And you asked him what happened.
Yes.
You asked him what happened in multiple different moments, including when you first arrived, right?
Yes.
After the paramedics arrived?
Yes.
So in other words, you took multiple statements from him throughout the night, right?
Yes.
And he never told you he heard sounds of choking, right?
Not to my recollection.
He never told you that he heard profuse coughing, right?
Not to my recollection.
He would have included both of those in your report had he told you that.
Yes.
He also said that Ms. Harwick was yelling the entire time through the moment that he left the house to go out to the street, right?
He told me she was screaming.
You do not have any formal medical training or background other than what you receive as part of the academy and part of being a police officer, right?
Correct.
In your report for this case, isn't it true that when describing what your partner did, Officer Amie, when he first went up to Ms. Harwick, you wrote that he touched her with a gloved hand, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And upon reviewing your body-worn video, isn't it true that his hand was ungloved when he touched her?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Anything?
Yes. Is the body-worn video, is that the best evidence of your interaction with Michael Herman?
Yes.
Okay, so whatever discussion you had with Michael Herman, it's on the body-worn video.
Correct.
The questions you posed to him, he answered.
Yes.
Questions that you didn't pose to him, he didn't answer.
Correct.
And now, you get the call, according to People's Exhibit number 16.
All right, Michael, you and I just wrote down some of the same things. The testimony on cross never heard sounds of choking, of coughing, of screaming. To me, that's pretty significant to point that out.
Only screaming.
Right, only
and I
screaming.
think the only way that that makes sense to me in terms of the defense's theory is that the struggle might have been immediate. So there was no time. He was there to talk.
Right.
But she got so afraid the minute she walked in and saw him
panicked.
that it just happened right away.
Right.
And that, you know, it is true he wanted to talk, but he couldn't because of her reaction.
Okay.
That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah, and why he wouldn't hear it. But I thought those good questions to ferret all that
Gotta
out
figure
for the
something
jury.
out.
Yeah, got to figure something out.